Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry about that, you guys. I hope you were able to get back on with me. We are not having any rain, but we are experiencing a lot of wind, so maybe that is messing with our internet connection. So come on back. Sorry about that. Hopefully everybody was able to reconnect, but we're gonna go ahead and move on to our second Tibetan, and this is going to, just like the one before, be a lot more gentle than the second Tibetan would normally be. Let me show you what I mean. Second Tibetan conventionally, and you can practice this one if you want to, would be to have the legs extended, and then you would inhale in this resting position, but then exhale and just lift, the torso up toward the legs up toward the torso, or the thighs towards the torso. And then you would inhale and lower back down, keeping the core activated the whole time. So you have that option. We're going to do 7 of them. I invite you to do the beginner option just because we don't really want to generate a bunch of heat in the evening before it's time to wind down and go to bed. So do whatever works best for you. But the other option would be to inhale in this resting position with the knees bent, but then exhale and essentially do the same thing. We're just tucking the knees in rather than the legs being extended. Now, we inhale and we either extend the legs out, sort of at a diagonal to make sure that the lower back is supported, or we would inhale and have the feet back down, okay? So we're going to do 7 of these. Inhale to begin. Exhale, lifting up. Hug that navel in, activating through the core. Inhale, extend, exhale, coming up. Inhale, extend for 3. Exhale, coming up. Inhale, extend. Exhale, 4. Inhale, extend. Exhale, 5. Inhale, extend. Exhale, 6. One more. Inhale, extend. Yay, people are coming back. Exhale, 7. Resting on the back briefly. Now you have the option of rolling onto your side or rocking your way up for a few pulses, 3 pulses, and the 3rd pulse you would stay up. So either way, we're going to meet back up together in a sitting position. Inhale, coming up. If you're rocking with me, exhale, lower. Good. 2 more. Inhale, up. Exhale. Inhale, up. And staying up. And then we'll come into our non-dominant crossing just to even things out. And we'll do those 2 breath of fire, cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. One more time. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Good job. Just a few more to go. Now here's where that blanket or the pillow may come in handy, because we're going to do a variation of Ustrasthana or camel pose. So for this, we want to have the knees hip width apart, okay? Or let the hips move back rather than keeping the hips above the knees and pressing forward into that cat tilt so that we come into our back. Okay, we're back. Oh my goodness. All right. So we have our hands in the lower part of the back, in our sacrum. And then as we inhale, notice how I'm pressing my hips forward into cat tilt, looking upright. And then as I exhale, I'm just going to come back upright and tuck my chin toward my chest. We're going to do that 7 times, you guys. Here we go. Inhale, pressing forward, keep the knees under your hips. Exhale, and coming out. 6 more like that. Inhale, pressing forward. Exhale, and coming out. Keep going. Inhale, pressing forward into that cat tilt. This one kind of takes the most patience, I think, in my humble opinion. Inhale for 5. Exhale, because you kind of want to rush it. because it does take a little bit of time. So this forces us to slow down, get grounded in the body, opening up through the heart, squeezing the shoulder blades in toward one another. One more time. Inhale. And exhale, and tucking the chin. Now from here, coming onto the hands and the knees, and reaching the hips up into downward facing dog here. Start walking the feet up toward the hands. So you end up in, again, this soft standing forward fold Uttanasana. Maybe you're able to extend the legs more now. But even if you have to take a deep knee bend, make sure there's no pain in the lower back. Head hangs. What we're doing is counter posing, counter stretching after that back bending. And then from here, when you're ready, placing the hands, walking back into downward facing dog, lowering the knees, and coming back into a seated position. Come into your dominant crossing this time, and we'll take our 2 breath of fire rounds. So inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. One more time, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Good. So now we come into our 4th Tibetan. And this one is going to be pretty close, or just about the same as our conventional 4th Tibetan. We're only doing 1 round, essentially. You work your way up to 21 repetitions, and then, that's kind of the goal. Tonight, for time's sake, and because we want to keep it gentle, we're just doing 7. So, essentially 1 out of 3 sets, if you will. So that 4th Tibetan, we actually want to make sure, and I'm going to kind of fold my mat out of my way. And if you are on a wooden floor, make sure you're going with the grain, not against it. And you'll see why in a second. So we want to have our hands down, fingers facing forward. You could use blocks under your hands if you have the sensation as though your arms aren't long enough. But if you do use blocks, just make sure that you're really sturdy on those blocks. Maybe don't lift the hips up as high, because you certainly wouldn't want to risk injuring your wrists. So basically, the legs start out extended in your conventional, but because we're making it just a tad bit more gentle tonight, let's bend the knees so we're just up on the heels. And then what's going to happen as we rock forward, we're going to come up onto the feet. And some of us, it's just going to be lifting the hips off of the ground. But if you can go higher into this, variation of inverted plank, then do so. Bringing the hips forward into that cat tilt. And then you just slide the hips back in between your hands, and while keeping yourself upright, tucking your chin without rounding through the back. We're going to do 7 of those. So here we go. Inhale. We start, the knees bent. Exhale. And lower down. Inhale. Up. Exhale. And lower. Just like in downward facing dog. Pressing to the fingers and the thumb pads. So we're not just dumping all of the weight down onto your wrists. That's 5. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, 6. Inhale, 7. And then come into your non-dominant crossing. Take a big breath in through the nose. Audible exhalation through the mouth. One more time, inhale. And then our last one, you guys. This is a good pulsing back bend. So let me Now here you may or may not need a blanket or a pillow under your knees. I actually have a double mat, so I think I will be just fine. But this is the one, if you're going to practice the full version, you would start in downward facing dog, and then you would inhale to upward facing dog, but keep the toes curled under, and then exhale, downward facing dog. All the while keeping activation through the shoulders, activation through the core as well. We're going to practice with me, if you're going to follow me, a much more evening appropriate version of that last Tibetan. Extend your arms out, knees are hip width, core is activated. Activate through the shoulders as you inhale forward. Either stop here, hands and knees, or see if you can little by little start lowering the hips down so that you're in this upward facing dog. Exhale, even bringing the hips back. We're activating through the core. Let's do that 7 times. Here we go. Inhale. Stop where you need to. Don't press your hips further down than your edge dictates. Let's go 6 more. Press into the fingers with thumb pads, making sure we're not sinking down into the shoulders. Let's go 5 more. Keep those knees hip width. Keep your toes facing straight back behind you. What tends to happen here is the toes want to start reaching in toward one another, going inward. Good. 3 more. Exhale back. Inhale 2 more. Exhale back. Inhale 1 more. And exhale back. Coming back upright into your non-dominant crossing. So we can take our 2 breath of fire rounds. Inhale through the nose. Exhale audibly through the mouth. 1 more time. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Good. Bringing the right leg out. Left heel is close in by the groin. I'm just going to do some gentle forward fold with opening through this right inner thigh. So keep that right foot somewhat activated. Toes are going to be pressing up toward the ceiling, or at least directed that way. You're reaching through the heel, the bottom of that heel, toward the wall to your right side. See if that door to your edge moves any. Keeping the sacrum grounded, sits bones grounded. Slowly start to walk your hands back up to where you're halfway, and then see about walking the hands over toward your left side. Still pushing through the heel, the bottom of that right heel. Then see about how far you go to your left side. Bring yourself back upright, but stay in that twist. And then slowly coming back to center. Switch the positioning of your legs here. Sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, exhale. Start bringing your pelvic bowl into that dog tail. Breathing. Toes, the left foot tips the toes directed up toward the ceiling. The further we move forward, of course, the more we're going to feel this stretch opening through that left inner thigh. One more breath here. Coming up part way, walking the hands over toward your right side, really getting long through the left side of the body. All the way up the leg, the side body, up to that left shoulder. of the torso, maybe deepening your twist. Just briefly coming back to center. Extend the legs out in front of you, on the top of the mat, and then just make your way back onto reclined position, hugging the knees in, rocking side to side, releasing through the hips, releasing through the lower back. Bringing the soles of the feet down to the ground. We're going to pulse a little bit to release through the hips here. So if you wanted, you could have your head resting on a pillow just to give the neck a little bit more support. We always talk about supporting the lower back, but we often forget about supporting our necks, that cervical spine. So hug the heels close in, kind of like you do for bridge, but as you can see, my feet are about as wide as my mat here. Big breath in as the breath flows out. Let the knees, like windshield wipers, move towards your left side. And then inhale back to center. Exhale, let the knees move to the right side. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Softening through the hips and the lower back, the abdomen. Exhale, right. Keep it going. Exhale, left. Exhale, right. Now this time, we exhale, knees move to the left. We stay here, both feet on the ground, or maybe we cross that left heel over the right thigh. If it felt okay, you could turn your head and look toward your right side. Breathing deeply. Another added option with the arms would be just to use your left hand to grab hold of that right wrist and then bring the arms around the head. Hands above the head, resting. Slowly bringing the head back to center, bringing your knees back to center and uncrossing. And then same thing, other side. Knees move to that right side. Either we keep both feet on the mat or we cross that right foot over the top of the left thigh. Maybe we turn the head towards the left side, or we might use that right hand to grab hold of the left wrist and then just sort of rest the arms above the head. One more breath wherever you are. Really winding down, relaxing, bringing the head back to center, uncrossing that foot. If the foot was crossed, bring the knees back to center. Hug the knees into the chest, place the palms of the hands on the kneecaps, and we're just going to circle the knees in one direction. Let the back of the head really rest on your mat. Shoulders, even though they're off of the mat, to assist the circling the knees, relaxing the shoulders. Bringing the knees center, pausing, and then opposite direction with those circles now. Just a few more. And then from there, coming into happy baby. So grabbing the outer edge of your foot or the inner edge. You can practice it either way, bringing the knees either side of the body. As though you're going to set the knees down onto the ground. To the best of your ability, keep the soles of the feet directed up toward the ceiling to where they're parallel with the ceiling. If you wanted to, you could rock back and forth. That's why they call it happy baby. Just keep reaching down through the base of the spine in an effort to keep your sacrum grounded, but to also keep stretching and broadening through the sacrum so that all those muscles that tend to really clench around that bony part of our lower back have the space, the opportunity to release. And then bringing the feet, soles of the feet onto the mat. So setting yourself up for Shavasana. I'm going to turn my heat back on. And so as comfortable as you can make yourself, that's kind of the goal here, because if we're comfortable, you know, we're not thinking about being uncomfortable or being cold or, you know, any of those distractions that come in when we are practicing Shavasana. So I'm going to sit up so it's easier for me to talk you guys through. Feel free to sit up with me if you'd rather sit for this, but I do encourage most of you guys, if it is comfortable, to lie down. Really give yourself this break. You can use whatever props you need to under the knees to stretch the legs out and support the lower back, pillow under the head to support the neck, like I was just mentioning. And just like we did at the beginning, start being aware of your senses. Being open to the senses to help get you grounded. One of the best senses in Shavasana is through the sense of touch. Really feel your body making contact with the ground. All of the places that your back body is touching the earth. The back of the skull, the backs of the shoulders. Be aware of what part of your back or what vertebra of your kind of thoracic spine are making contact with the ground right now. Part of the lumbar spine is making contact with the ground, the sacrum making contact with the ground. And then invite a heaviness into the arms, into the legs, into the head, so that the muscles of the neck can relax. The muscles, you know, through the shoulders can relax. The muscles through the hips and hip flexors and lower back can relax and soften. And again, fill in the newly created space that the softening is making happen. Breathing, staying with your breath every time you notice yourself getting distracted, every time you notice that you're moving out of that mindful space. On the days when we are feeling not very motivated, one of the ways we can still get on the mat is to set a timer for ourselves and practice Shavasana. Even if it's the only thing we do in that practice, at least we've gotten on the mat and probably practiced the most powerful pose that we can spend time in. It not only gives us relaxation, softening for the physical body, but it helps us to soften the mind. The more we practice softening the mind, going through the relaxation response, the easier it will be for us to take that path, even when we're stressed out, even when we're feeling challenged. We have to practice this. Just a few more breaths here. We're going to come out of Shavasana together. It's a little differently than what we normally do. So just take your time hugging the knees into the chest. Extend the legs upright and take the legs out far enough from one another so that you can circle your feet in one direction. and then pausing, opposite direction. And then soles the feet back down to the mat. Extend your legs out, reach your arms up, and just get as tall as you can, as long as you can, reaching down through the toes, kind of pointing the toes down, reaching up through the arms. But then see if you can keep that length and relax here, noticing that difference. Then from there, having one knee in and taking that hand to the knee, other knee comes in, and take that hand to the knee, roll onto your side, and then just hang out here for a breath or two. Use your hands to help press you back upright. And thank you guys for those of you that stuck with me and came back when we were having our disconnections. Looks like the weather has calmed down now, so I'm glad we were able to finish. I'll see you guys next Monday at 6:30, right here on the Neva Lomason Library page. And until then, have a great week. Namaste. All right, bye guys.